This show features real crime scene photos and actual participants. Illustrational stock footage is also used for narrational purposes. This video contains sensitive content and may not be suitable for children. Viewer discretion is advised. This is the story of exactly what goes wrong when young people from troubled backgrounds get together without any proper guidance. Heather Strong was found brutally murdered in 2009, leaving 2 children with their father Joshua. Authorities did not anticipate what they would find in this case, where the killer was someone they would not suspect immediately. Only 15 years old when she met Joshua Fulgham, 22 at the time, Heather found herself in love. She went on to have 2 children with the man. Amidst the whirlwind of teenage love, Heather Strong found herself drawn to the captivating yet tumultuous charm of Jason Fulgham, 7 years her senior. However, what appeared to be a fairy tale romance was plagued by his quick temper and tendency to turn violent. Despite the rocky nature of their relationship, they continued to be drawn back to each other through the years in a never-ending cycle of highs and lows. Originally from Mississippi, the couple moved to Florida in 2003 to give a fresh start to their lives as they dated off and on. Heather was a loving mother and had a kind smile. She was easygoing, and like any teen, was easily manipulated by the adults she was dating. Subjected to violence numerous times, she had filed complaints against Joshua. The young couple tied the knot in December 2008. Yet, by January 2009, Joshua had been arrested for pointing a shotgun at Heather's face during an argument. What Heather didn't know was, there was another person in her love story. Born in 1984, 2 years younger than Heather was Emilia Carr, the shining star and middle child of a trio of sisters. Her brilliance was evident, as reported by a psychologist's estimation of her IQ at an astonishing 125. Emilia Lily Carr had been down the aisle twice, with one of her marriages ending in a restraining order for domestic violence. Despite the rocky relationships, she was a mother to 3 children, one of whom she had with her ex-boyfriend Jamie Acum. It appears that Joshua really couldn't make up his mind about both the girls. Aware of another woman between them, Heather ended things and moved in with a coworker, Benjamin Collum. She hadn't intended to, but the two quickly became romantically involved within 2 weeks of moving in together. While Joshua seemed to move on with Emilia, he was extremely unhappy about Heather dating her coworker. For 6 months, Fulgham persistently harassed, intimidated, and disrupted the couple's lives, stalking them and threatening Heather, including pointing a firearm at them at least twice. Finally, Heather decided to mend things with Joshua. Unbeknownst to her, Joshua was still seeing Emilia. Emilia still remained close to the couple and even babysat their 2 children. Tensions rose in January 2009, just 6 days after their marriage, when Joshua was arrested for threatening Heather with a shotgun.
Hello?
Hey, please don't hang up.
I'm not.
Heather, why did you do this?
Josh, because I can't, you promised me, I can't live like this.
Well, are you going to push this or what?
You're not going to do that, Josh. You're going to kill me when you get out of there.
She disappeared shortly after this call. The charges were dropped, but the investigation uncovered that Emilia had threatened Heather with a knife to make her drop the charges. With the criminal case behind them, Emilia and Joshua rekindled their relationship. The custody of their 2 children became a legal battle between Joshua and Heather. Emilia brought Joshua some bad news. Heather intended to leave the state and move back to Mississippi. Joshua had his mother write up a letter, asking for full custody of the children, trying to convince her to leave them to him. He told her Heather had agreed to grant him full custody. The two met on February 15, 2009, to discuss the future of their children. Joshua and Heather walked out of her home together, but she was never seen alive again. Reported missing on the 24th.
When was the last time you heard from her?
Somewhere about the 10th, 11th, or 12th of February.
Is this unusual for...
Yes, it is. And Heather's birthday is Monday, and If she doesn't call me Monday, I know something's wrong.
Right, yes, ma'am.
An investigation was opened when her remains were found on March 19th in a shallow grave by a storage trailer near Florida. Her body was wrapped in a blanket, half stuffed into a suitcase. At the time of Heather's disappearance, Emilia was expecting another child, allegedly belonging to Joshua Fulgham. Police thoroughly questioned Joshua Fulgham. A very pregnant Emilia was also brought in for questioning. But something was off about Emilia's body language. Her statements changed at least 10 times while she was being questioned. In an attempt to discredit Jamie's statements to save herself, so she wouldn't appear guilty. This led on to more false statements. Emilia realized she wouldn't be able to convince the cops, so she finally gave up, willing to put Joshua under the bus. She tried to portray herself as the victim in the story, pretending she just happened upon Heather duct-taped to a blue chair. She even took them to the trailer and gave them a version of events. Whether a pathological liar or a master manipulator, one thing was certain: Emilia was cornering herself behind a wall of lies, and the police were having none of it. They were just letting her talk into building a case against herself. Meanwhile, Josh was still pinning the entire thing on Emilia. He explained how he intended to threaten Heather into signing the letter granting him full custody. He assumed they would tie her up in the trailer and scare her. He said she didn't deserve what happened to her. Josh Fulgham had lured Heather, saying they were going to the abandoned trailer behind Emilia's house to collect $1,700. Once he got her inside, attempting to look for money, he asked her to sit down and talk to him. When Heather attempted to leave, Emilia entered and hit her with a flashlight. By then, Joshua had overpowered Heather and duct-taped her to a computer chair. Then, Emilia proceeded to break her neck. This proved to be much harder than the two anticipated. She mercilessly duct-taped a yellow plastic bag over the other girl's head. A 7-month pregnant mom to 3 kids. Strangled the mother of her partner's children. Just let that sink in. Was this truly necessary to get custody? Was it love on Emilia's end, or was it vengeful hatred, fueled by jealousy? The officers believed Joshua Fulgham because of his girlfriend's inconsistent statements. All they needed was a confession from Emilia. She was cornered and alone, so on March 24, 2009, they had Joshua's sister Michelle Gustafson speak to her in her car.
We asked her if she was willing to help us catch Emilia by recording their conversations.
While officers planted recording devices. Hearing a friendly voice, Emilia confessed.
So I want detail.
I don't know if you can handle it, Michelle.
Amelia, it would be better. It would be better knowing than not knowing.
You put the bag over her head. We tried to snap her neck. That didn't work.
You did?
He didn't see any other way out, Michelle. I mean, how many more times was he gonna...
But why would you... Why would you try to break her neck?
I figured it'd be quick and painless.
The officers brought her in yet again, and this time, they laid it on as it was.
Today, you had a conversation with Josh's sister. That conversation was recorded totally. You, out of your own mouth, admitted to being there.
The detectives were very clear. Emilia had shown no remorse. Instead, she had been vindictive and manipulative from the start. Emilia was arrested that day. Yet she continued to elude a real confession. Joshua Fulgham had better chances at getting a plea deal because of his honesty, whereas Emilia Carr just kept jumping statements. Joshua Fulgham received 2 life sentences and currently remains behind bars. His accomplice gave birth while in jail, and all her children were taken to foster care. Emilia waived her right to a speedy trial, fearing she might get the death penalty. It went all the way to November 2009 until the prosecutor revealed he intended to go for maximum punishment because of the heartless way the murder was carried out. In December 2010, the case went to trial, and Emilia Carr's family tried to point out the fact that she had a troubled childhood and had been subject to sexual abuse. No matter how hard they tried, she received the death penalty, outvoted 7-5 from the jury. Emilia Carr was formally sentenced to death by lethal injection on February 22, 2011 for the kidnapping and murder of Heather Strong. The judge stated that the murder was cold, calculated, and premeditated. Carr is currently incarcerated at the Lowell Correctional Institution's Annex in Marion County as of February 23, 2011. She stands among the 4 women on death row in Florida. Alongside Tiffany Cole, Carr made history as the first woman to receive a death sentence in Marion County since 1992, and at 26, she was the youngest woman to receive capital punishment in Florida. Now the 38-year-old remains behind bars to this day, spending life in prison while fighting her sentence. Despite her attempts to get out of this abusive relationship, Heather found herself swept back in again and again, losing her life in the process. It's a comfort for her loved ones that the ruthless killers are behind bars, and while this will never help her children come to terms with the loss, it is something that could help soothe the pain of the victims' loved ones.
But looking back and thinking about what she had to go through and, what her family is enduring is terrible.